What's up, everybody? Unrested back again, and it is an ugly, ugly day outside. Otherwise, I would be recording on the street. I am inside. Sad but true. But at the same time, I do need to stare at a computer screen because this is still No Neg November. Happy Thanksgiving, America. Well, it's Thursday in Japan. It's still Wednesday back in America, I think, while I record this. Well, probably by the time I release it, I think it might actually have switched over. I set up a little comment post, wall post on Facebook that asked people for the last week of No Neg November. That's what we're on right now. I guess, there's one more day next week, but really this is going to be like the last week, unless I can get a video out on Monday, which I doubt I will have time, to post to me about what their biggest fears of either visiting or living in Japan are. And I am going to respond to those with positive thoughts. So I will positively try my best to tell you how to either, number one, get around those fears or worries, or things that make you nervous about coming over here. And hopefully I can stay as positive as possible while giving you those answers. So let's just try and get through as many as I can, as fast as I can. I apologize if I do not get to you. I got so many messages. Oh, and let me just, okay, you know what? Let me just go ahead and show you the screen. Just because some people are like, yeah, I'll bet a bunch of people wrote you. So here it was. I'm gearing up for the final No Neg November week. Here is what I need from you. Just one simple question. What is your biggest worry and or obstacle that is stopping you from either visiting or living in Japan? You can see messages, 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 messages. I'm not sure why someone posted a tattoo. Messages, 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 messages. And then somebody posted an advertisement on my wall. Great, I gotta delete a spammer. Okay, but just in case anyone's actually wondering, I had a message recently on my comments that were like, do these people really even write you? Is JFAC real? I probably couldn't come up with... I wouldn't have the time to write this many questions. I don't know. Well, you know what? People watch one video and they think they know your life. They think they watch a video and all you do is record YouTube videos. They don't know you actually like have a job and a family and work 60 plus hours, etc. All right, let's just jump into it. Here we go. Let's get in there with drama alert. That's what I sounded like. Okay, so number one, losing connection with people back home. Yes and no. I would just use Skype while you're here. It works out great because you don't end up wasting a lot of money and you still can contact with people back home. I guess the biggest problem is you can't give a lot of hugs and kisses. So nothing I can really help you out with till Star Trek transportation system comes around. Being a fish out of water, being totally alone in the world that you don't quite understand with no helping hand or guidance. But if you're going to do it, think about this. I want you to think about this because it's true. This could happen. You could feel really out of place. If you are going to do it, Japan is one of the best countries to do it in because number one, it is safe. Number two, the people are nice. And number three, things are very helpful. People are very helpful. Okay? If you're going to do this anywhere, do it in Japan. If you're going to feel out of water, if you're going to feel lost, if you're going to worry, do it in Japan. You don't speak Japanese, it's okay. It's okay. All right? People can communicate without any language at all. They can draw stuff. They can point. They can gesture. They can ask you to follow them, etc. What was that big buzz? That was strange. Okay. Next says, I've got a little over a year left for my software engineering degree. For me, I'd like the financial burden of taking up... I worry about the financial burden of taking up roots in a different country. Well, I would suggest coming here with at least $2,000. I don't think that's really too much to ask to save for, even with like a very low paying, straight out of college or college job, unless you're doing great with pay. I mean, are you already getting paid like a software engineer? Because you probably got enough money, you're okay. But some people I've heard say as high as $5,000, and probably you guys know what video I'm talking about that said bring $5,000 to Japan. I'll do that video in the future when No Neg November is finished. That is actually a really good idea. The more you can bring, the better. I came here with $2,000 and I was fine. I have friends who have come here though with as little as $200. You better know what you're doing if you come here with that little bit, but I really don't think you should financially worry too much unless you don't have a return ticket home. That's the only time I think you should be a little more careful. All right. Accidentally offending a high-level Yakuza. I think he means a Japanese Yakuza. I've never heard of Yakuza. Is Yakuza a word that's recently been created? Or maybe it's been around for, I've never heard that. That's interesting. I like that. Yakuza. And never heard from again. Oh, no, dude. So I think the one thing people have got to understand is Yakuza don't mess with, nor have time to mess with, nor care to mess with Gaijin. Right now there has been a splinter in the Yamaguchi Gumi, sorry. And they've split into five, I want to say five different groups. It might be more. And they are battling it out right now for turf. And by battling out, I mean, not much has happened. Okay, there's been like a couple protests. I think one guy actually has been shot. And that was not a situation of like drive-by shooting. It was like he showed up to the other guy's house, shot him in his house, and then left the house. That's crazy. I mean, that's like the first shooting I think I've heard of all year in 2015. I haven't heard about any other shootings as far as I know. Of course, I'm not counting any accidental shootings that might have happened in Hokkaido, because that happens due to shotguns that they have out there for pretty much hunting and staying safe from bears. So, okay. I wouldn't worry. I've to this day, I have not met a gaijin who has been like, wow, I really am upset I came to Japan because the Yakuza just bully me every day. Okay, you probably, if you meet a Yakuza, especially if you have tattoos, they're actually going to be pretty nice. If you're really worried about that, check out my story that I wrote one time called Mightier Than the Sword. It's a comic / story about my first meeting with the Yakuza. And they were they tried to scare me, which was funny, and it was great. I love a good laugh. But they were overall very nice. I mean, actually, quite nice. Biggest obstacle for me is learning the language. You don't need to know Japanese to live in Japan. I'm just telling you that. I wouldn't be able to read any signs. Yeah, but there's Romaji everywhere, which is, the version of Japanese that uses a Roman alphabet. I think you'd probably be okay with Romaji, right? But it's definitely worrisome if I don't enjoy the food. There has been people I have met in the past who don't enjoy the food, but I mean, really, the food? Come on. You're stronger than that. I know you, man. You're stronger. You can do it, man. Since a lot of my diet consists of red meat, and I've heard red meat is considerably more expensive. It is. It is more expensive. And quite frankly, red meat in Japan, is always more expensive anywhere you're going to go. But don't let food hold you back, okay? That is a very, very first world problem, okay? Just think about it that way. Think about, do I really need to let first world problems hold me back? All right. It's not like there isn't enough food that you're worrying about starving. It's just the type of food, okay? You gotta make, any place you're gonna go, any place you're gonna live, you gotta make a couple small sacrifices. I don't think that's a big one. All right, let's continue on. The fact that I've screwed up my JET application. But that's okay. Like thousands and thousands of people apply to JET each year. You're not always gonna get in. It's okay. There's so many more jobs that are just like JET. ALT jobs. You need to just start searching ALT jobs right now. Do not lose hope because you did not get into JET. Please don't lose hope because you did not get into JET. There are so many more jobs in Japan. Please don't give up because of that. Let's see. There was some old-fashioned sexism. Yeah, Japan's still kind of 1950s. Again, kind of a sacrifice you'll have to make if you come here. That's not going to change overnight. And I can't really be like, yeah, but the positive is... Yeah, if you just hang out with people your own age, and from the picture I see here, I'm not going to mention anybody's names who posted these, you appear to be younger. Maybe it's a tiny little thumbnail. You 20s? Oh, that sounds safe. It's not really good to guess a woman's age. I think if you hang out with people your age, you'll find that sexism doesn't exist. That tends to be with the older generation. Okay. Next says, getting insurance / finding help if I get sick or injured while living in Japan. Well, when you are in Japan, my friend, you are under national health insurance if you are working. If not, then just get international health insurance unless you live in America, and then it's probably outrageously expensive. And I'm doing my best to be positive about Japan, but it's very hard to be positive about insurance in America because it sucks. Maybe you know what? Do a search for international insurance online and see if maybe there's some way around that. Okay, if you can get into that. Let's just do this. How about this? This is the way I can be the most positive about it. If for some reason you did get injured while you were in Japan, number one, people would call the ambulance right away. Number two, the ambulance is always 100% free in Japan. Number three, if you were like, dude, I didn't bring enough money to pay for this, I'm not saying every hospital would do this, but I'm saying most hospitals would either, number one, work out with you a payment plan, even if it involved you handing money over after you got back home, or just not even care, somehow write it off. Just be like, you know what, whatever. Or do some kind of like emergency national health insurance. Or just, it's not a big deal. The hospitals are not hurting for money in Japan. Old people keep them going like crazy. All right. Having a medical condition and what would happen if I need to go to the hospital, concerned with where to go, what to do, trouble understanding. There's a lot of doctors that speak English in Japan. Oftentimes, doctors are our most highly educated people, even in Japan, of course, too. And usually they are, if not forced to, want to actually study English because a lot of the medical things, treatments, etc., have been created by English-speaking people. Of course, some have been created by Japanese people, too. There's some actually very famous ones. There's actually even famous diseases that have been discovered by Japanese people. But a lot of, for example, the medical instruments, especially some of the high-tech ones, actually come from more English-speaking countries. And so they've had to learn to speak a lot of English just to figure out how to use some of these things. So in general, you're going to find most doctors speak at least some small level of English. But shop around while you're here. You can easily find a doctor that is fluently speaking English. I mean, my wife is a dentist that fluently speaks English, so I know it exists. Okay. My obstacle is what kind of social interaction skills do I need in order to make friends in Japan? Just say hi. Just do the same thing you would do in your own country. They don't think you need to act Japanese to make friends there. Do I need to be outgoing or the casual type of person? Just do your thing, man. Just do your thing. Just do your thing, okay? People who want to meet and greet and speak to Gaijin have probably studied a little bit or have been to a foreign country or met Gaijin and kind of have an idea of how they act. And they don't want you to try and act Japanese for them to meet you. They want to meet all authenticity a Gaijin. And they want you to act authentic Gaijin way. So don't change who you are. I mean, unless you're like a maniac who yells and gets angry really fast and, you know, throws a fit, and then you might scare some people off. So don't do that. I guess money/expense and how easy it is to generally get a job there in teaching as many would. Since I hear people say there's plenty of jobs, but I wonder if it could happen where you don't get hired for months. Oh, that's the end of the message. I read that really weird. I mean, that's a possibility, but my advice, as always, is to, number one, start searching even before you come here. Number two, hit up all the websites that I constantly list. Number three, I've got a playlist called Finding a Job in Japan, or Job Interviews in Japan, Getting an English Teaching Job in Japan. I've got playlists for that. Like, that'll literally take you step by step for how you need to act in the interview. If you follow those, you will get the job. Like, if you can act the way I tell you to act in those, even if it's not really who you are, if you act that way at the interview, you will get the job. I've been to a lot of job interviews. I've always gotten the job. The only time I haven't gotten the job is when I personally myself figured, you know what, I don't want to get this. This isn't a good deal. This sucks. And either I've ended the interview or I've purposely gone out of my way to sabotage it so that I can leave. Which I'm just stand up and be like, sorry, not interested. That's a bad pay. Don't be afraid to do that either. Don't get taken advantage of. The visa process. I am currently teaching in South Korea and have always wanted to get over to Japan to teach as well, but I hear that it is difficult to get. No, you'll be okay, man. If you're already teaching in South Korea, I've heard that it's even more difficult over there, but you know what, I could be wrong too. I don't know. So my suggestion to you is just not to fear. It can't be any more difficult. If it is, it would only be like maybe slightly. I just go to the. You okay, bud? You all right? My son tried to get out of his chair, almost fall. You okay? Okay. Hey, it's okay. It's okay. Don't worry. You just knock your chair over. It's not a big deal. All right. What do we got next? Biggest obstacle would have to be lack of proper communication due to slowly learning Japanese. Again, you don't need Japanese to live here. You don't. You really don't. Especially like Tokyo or Osaka, you're going to live in those two places. You 100% don't need Japanese to live here. I've known people who've lived here 10 plus years, 20 years, never learned a lick of Japanese. They're happy they speak to English-speaking Japanese people all the time. Of course, you can discover a lot more if you do learn the language, but it's not a must. Okay, okay. Can I keep my sorry, I'm just like pouring through these as fast as I can. Can I keep my current business in the US going while I'm abroad? Well, that really depends on your business. Is it internet-based? Because if so, yes. Not wanting to ruin my opportunities in my own country, but at the same time, it being the other way around. I understand this one. So, there's like this age people hit, usually around 30 here in Japan, if they've come over here for a teaching job, and they feel like I've got something bigger and better I could be doing back in my own country. I need to go back and pursue that, or I want to go back to school and pursue another degree. That's really up to you. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. In fact, I mean, I highly recommend as much education in life as you can get. Of course, the costs that come with it, I don't recommend, but I think you should stay true to who you are and what you want to do in life, because at the end of the day, you got to remember that it's 8 hours of your life every day that you're working, whatever job you're doing. And if this is not something you want to do, then, you know, make sure you keep that on the back burner. Have a contingency plan. There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that. And just think about the stuff you can put on your resume. If you put, I was an English teacher in Japan, or I can speak Japanese on your resume, I mean, that's not going to look bad. Okay? For my girlfriend dealing with time away from family. Not like, again, I mean, you know, I Skype my parents every weekend pretty much because they want to see the grandkids. They don't want to talk to me. But that feels like enough for me. But I don't know, you know, everybody's really different. That's hard to gauge. My suggestion is always Skype, but again, different strokes for different folks. Try it. Try it. If it's too much, send her back home and work out some kind of travel plan. Language barrier, we already talked about that. Working, living in Japan, the fact that I might have a hard time finding a job since I'm neither from the US or the UK. But wait, are you Australian? I don't... You gotta tell me where you're from, bro. You gotta tell me where you're from. I don't... it's okay if you're not from the US or the UK. You could be from Canada, and it's very easy to get a job. You could be from Australia, New Zealand. You could even be from, like, Singapore. And I mean, because, you know, speak English there, too. Hit me back up with a place you're from. Not finding any friends. How could you not find any friends in Japan? You already have one. I plan moving to Fukuoka next year and have made friends with a few females. I am reading this like horrible. Like this guy doesn't sound like this. For some reason, they get very jealous that I speak to other females as friends. Wait a second here. Hold on. Hold on just a second, Maki. I'm recording this video and I've got a very important question to answer this man here, okay? I plan on moving to Fukuoka next year and have made friends with a few females. For some reason, they get very jealous that I speak to other females as friends. They seem to tell me I can't have female friends in Japan. But if I ever want a relationship in the future, which I think is strange, is this true to some extent? Devin, and I can say your name because you know me and I know you, Devin, I've got a great answer for you. You say, this is the way we do it in my country. You'll be like, demo, kore wa gaikokujin boy. Kore wa gaikokujin itsumo kore wa suru. Boku wa gaikokujin. Shoganai. You know? Like just like tell them that's who you are, man. Okay? And like I always tell people, you should come to Japan and you should assimilate when you work your job, and you should try to be as Japanese as you can at that job to keep that job and get paying at that job and make everybody happy at that job. But when you get outside of that job and you have your free time, Devin, you need to be you, bud. You need to be you. You want to talk to all those ladies, talk to all those ladies, bud. Same with you girls. You want to talk to a bunch of men, go talk to a bunch of men, all right? You have some Japanese guy friends who are like, excuse me, but I want to be the number one in your life. Just tell them fuck off and go talk to more guys. Okay, vice versa. Guys, you do the same thing. Bethany, oh, sorry, Bethany, I just said okay, well, a lot of women have that name. I'm not going to say your last name. I want to visit, but money is the biggest challenge. We moved recently and bought a new car, and my son started going to preschool. So until we get used to all that, there's no real way to save up for a trip. Also, my son is 3, and I'm not sure if we want to take him with us or leave him with grandma. Well, how long are you looking to come? I mean, you could just bring him over. You could put him in school here. It would work. I mean, I would just make sure all your visa stuff's worked out with. I mean, I guess the greatest thing that you should know is Japan is incredibly safe for kids. It's insanely safe. The other thing you should also know is that it's also expensive to send a kid to school in Japan. So, yeah, just save up. Just save up. All right, my husband not having a bachelor's degree, so I'd be the one supporting him. But wait, do you have a bachelor's degree? Because if you got the bachelor's degree and you get a job in Japan, he can get a dependent visa. And then he can get a job in Japan too, because he's getting his visa from you already having a visa, because you already work in Japan and you've kind of proved, hey, I'm cool, guys. I'm not coming here with a huge criminal record and I'm not going to do anything bad. I'm just really here to teach. And hey, look, I brought this dude with me. He's married to me and, he's a good guy too. He's on my dependent visa and he could easily get a job on that. Dependent visa, look into it. I would be traveling alone, and I feel insecure about this. I've traveled alone to France a lot, so I know that I can probably travel anywhere. I think Japan, I'm a little anxious about being a woman alone. No offense to France, but Japan is safer. So yes, if you can travel to France by yourself, you can travel to Japan by yourself. God, did I make that answer as positive as I could? This is hard. Okay, I am very worried about getting a job if I can't provide for my family. We won't be able to stay there very long. I feel that the language barrier would also somewhat be of a nuisance. Yes, of course, anywhere. I am also very curious, so don't want to pester people if I ask a lot of questions. Okay, but I think what you would need again is if you are able to get the job and you have a family, so I'm guessing that means you have a wife too and a kid. I'm not sure how big this is hard for me. I'm trying to imagine, okay? But people aren't giving me as many specifics as possible, so I'm just doing my best, okay? You get the visa, you get the job, and then maybe you head over first, okay? And then you start the job, and then you're working, and you can get the dependent visa for your wife, and then your wife comes over, and she can get the job too, or she can apply for the job before she comes over so that you make sure that both of you heading over there have the jobs, and you have the money. And then she can also come over with the kid too, and then you can easily afford to raise a kid, send a kid to kindergarten or wherever. You look like you're a young couple. I can't tell from this little thumbnail gif, but you can do it. You can do it. Things can work. Okay. I was planning to visit Japan last year, but failed. The biggest issue is money for a 2-week trip just to Tokyo. I need about $2,500. Yeah, it's Tokyo, one of the most expensive countries in the world. I mean, cities, not country. I'm not thinking about actually moving to Japan. Of course, it would be nice, but I'm not native English speaker, so the chance of me getting a job is really low. I am a self-taught artist / graphic designer, and as far as I know, there are many skilled people already. Yeah, graphic design, it would almost be impossible to get a job in Japan unless you're like world renowned. No offense. I think graphic designers are awesome, but they're also a dime a dozen in Japan. There's many trade schools. So I can't teach English then, otherwise I would be living in Japan, not in the UK, and of course my tattoos on my forearms. But you can cover up your tattoos. I got those tattoos. It's okay. Don't worry about stuff like that. Yeah, 2005. Okay, so what about just try to visit a different part of Japan that's not so expensive? Like, have you thought about checking out Hiroshima, or maybe Nagasaki, or maybe Nagoya, or even lovely Osaka, where I'm at? Although even Osaka, you'd probably need about $2,000. So, just check out other parts of Japan that are cheaper. I mean, the countryside's way cheaper. Does it have to be Tokyo? Does it 100% have to be Tokyo? If not, consider my very positive, reinforced answer. I would say my biggest concern would be things like banking, business situations, and buying or building a house in Japan. When I came to Japan, I had to make a bank account. and I spoke exactly 0, 0, 0, 0 Japanese. And those people were so patient with me and so kind and smiled the whole time. They never lost their patience. They just chugged along. Got it. Okay, this, sign this, sign this. But of course, they couldn't say sign in English. They couldn't speak any English at all. They just be like, kore suru, kore suru. And I'd be like, me? Name? My name? And they'd be like, yeah. Okay. Like, and I mean, it took a long time because we had to keep doing stuff like that, like pantomiming and showing each other gestures and stuff. But we got the whole process done. It can happen with 0 Japanese. Okay. Now, of course, if you want to do like crazy, super complex business money transfers, that might be a different story. But if your main worry is just getting the bank account open, you're okay. You can do it with 0 Japanese. With 0 Japanese. I promise you 100%. I have 2. My lack of post-secondary education and my age. I know the former isn't as bad, as there are plenty of gaijin who are only graduation high school. I think she wanted to say only graduated high school and are doing quite well in Japan. However, at nearly 40, it would not be easy to start a career there without some kind of education or professional background or experience. I don't know. I think you would be okay. I've seen 50-year-old men come over here and become an ALT. And I mean, maybe they went to college, but college had been a long time ago. But I've seen 50-year-old men come over here. They're married to a Japanese woman, and they just easily get a job because they already have that marriage visa. Look, guys, you own your visa. I think that's something very important, very positive that I should get across to you. Maki, bring that down just a tad. Kind of loud clicking thing. I think it's a, what do you call those things? Okay, can you give it to me? You want to draw? You want to draw on some paper? We can do that. Let's get you some paper. You want to draw a zombie? Cool! Okay, here you go, bud. Paper. Does that marker work? Are you sure? Okay, let's see. Let's make sure. Oh, it does work. It works fine. Okay. All right, just don't draw on your arms and legs like last time. He colored his whole body and called himself a dinosaur. I think you can do it. In fact, I know you can do it. I've seen your post. You're a smart girl. You can do this. Tattoos and lack of knowing the job market for a foreigner. Okay, well, tattoos, obviously, you can, blah, 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 you're fine. Job market. Okay, so the same websites I always tell you to hit up. Ohio Sensei, gaijinpot.com, kansaifleamarket.com. Hit them up. I mean, if you need to, take a 3-month tourist trip to Japan and grab a bunch of the local rags and look for stuff. Just don't be afraid to pound the pavement is my biggest... Or if you can, I don't know which country you are from, but many of you can get a holiday working visa. Working holiday visa? Hey, I'm from America. We can't get it. Sorry, Americans. If you're American too, you can't get the working holiday visa. If you can get the working holiday visa, you might have a pretty damn good chance of getting a job here, even without your college degree. This is becoming more and more common, I tell you guys. All right? Don't lose hope. I'm living here already, but perhaps you could answer a question for me. How to get a job outside of teaching? That's a whole nother JFAQ, buddy. That's a whole nother JFAQ. I do have videos on that because obviously I do art here. But I'm gonna help you. I'm gonna help you in the future. I can't do it for this video. Being lonely, Ted. You'll never be lonely. You already have one friend here in Japan, Ted. Ted, don't be lonely. No, you'll be fine, dude. I mean, my biggest thing is I don't know, like some people when they tell me they're like really, really lonely and they don't go out ever and they don't drink, maybe that would be like one of the hardest scenarios I can imagine. And if you got put in the countryside in Japan, okay, maybe that would be the hardest. If you're gonna have all those line up, then maybe think about not coming. But if you're gonna change one of those, then you have a great chance of meeting lots of people. Japan overworks people and is extremely expensive to make day-to-day living as a foreigner from a poor country. Wait, what? But, okay, but if you're from a poor country, what you make in your country doesn't follow you over here. I mean, unless you're doing some kind of strange internship I don't know about. if you're a gaijin, most places you can get away with not working those 12 hours. Gaijin, like, you know, all types of gaijin. Every race, sex, color, creed, code, whatever. Um, we often don't have to work the 12 hours. Now, if you want to work for a Japanese company, especially like in IT and stuff like that, now I have heard some of them have to work 12 hours. So, I don't know. I don't feel like we really get held to that. We usually don't put up with it, and Japanese are pretty used to that, so they don't try to hold us up to that doing 12 hours. But that's really up to you and where you want to work. You gotta tell me just a little bit more. It's just a bit vague about what kind of job you had in mind. If I knew more about that, I could let you know. Good job, bud. It looks great. I could either let you know how to either work less hours or make sure you found an employer that was humane. Let's put it that way. It's not really something that will prevent me from going to live in Japan, but my biggest fear is even if I inform myself getting abused by employers or company or something like that. Well, I think what I just said for the last post kind of follows. Just do your research, okay? I am going to tackle that "Don't Teach in Japan" video. Yeah, it looks great, buddy. Let me just finish this real quick, okay, buddy? Sorry. Let me just say that I'm going to cover the Ryan Boundless video that was posted about teaching English in Japan, and I will eventually get into that. Okay, but let me get this.
It's empty.
Okay, here's a new piece of paper, and you gotta give me a little bit of time here, okay, bud?
It's empty.
It's an engine. Cool. Okay. All right, give me a high five, and then go ahead and draw your zombie, and then just give me a little bit of time on here. I gotta wrap it up. Okay, guys, sorry. My boy's getting a little bit antsy here. We're gonna have to hang out, so I'm gonna have to bring this to a close. I wanted to finish this one though. Okay, so they worry about they will be like abused by their employer. So we've recently had this video that a lot of people are asking me to cover, and it's the Ryan Boundless video, and I'm not going to cover it this month because obviously it's going to get into some negative stuff. I don't feel like it's appropriate for No Neg November. But one thing I want to say before I even get into that is just make sure you do your research. Just make sure you do your research and you're safe. You'll be safe. Even me, I got into Nova when I first got here, and it was bad. But I researched it, and I knew it was going to be bad. And because I knew it was going to be bad, it really wasn't that bad. Like, I was pretty much ready for everything that happened. Even it going bankrupt and leaving me on the street with no apartment. So, good things can come of that. Good things can come of that. One of the most positive things that came from that is I still stayed in Japan after, and I learned a lot about Japan, and I learned a lot about how to speak Japanese and how to also get everything I needed in Japanese, like an apartment, water turned on, electric turned on, a new cell phone, etc. So I think that is a really positive outcome from that, and you too may have that happen. Okay, I gotta wrap this up. So many more questions. Okay, guys, you know what? Let me just cut it right here because it is at 30 minutes. I got so many more questions. I'm so sorry. Okay, I hope I gave you positive answers, positive feedback. I hope I helped you overcome some of your fears, some of your nervousness, some of the obstacles that you think may be stopping you from getting to Japan. I hope I encouraged you to think about it more. I hope I gave you reasons, pathways, forking pathways that can allow you to overcome the different things that you thought were blocking you in the future. And I want to just say happy Thanksgiving to all my fellow Americans who watch this. If you don't live in America, happy Thanksgiving to you too, because I'm pretty sure it's an international holiday, right? No, I'm just joking. I want to just say what I'm thankful for, because that's what we do in America on this day. I am thankful for all of you guys who are subscribed to my channel. Even if you're the person who shows up to my channel every single time to thumb it down, I'm thankful even for you, because I mean, at this point, you're my fan. If you're showing up to every single video and thumbing it down, I mean, if you watch me enough, you become my fan. Like, even the analytics and statistical write-ups that YouTube gives you puts you in the fan category. It's like, people who've most viewed your page and commented, they're in the fan category. So thank you. Seriously, everybody. I mean, of course, especially the people who've encouraged me over the years, the people who have given me 30,000 subscribers this year alone. I think I won up almost 10,000 subscribers in just 2015, which is amazing because I really felt like I've neglected this channel this year. 2 videos a week is not good for me. Back in 2014, I was posting once or twice a day at least, every day of the week, and I have not had the time, I've not had the energy, I have been tired, but you guys keep me at it. You guys keep me at it. You guys keep me motivated, and for that, I am so very thankful. Okay, this channel doesn't exist without you guys. Me on video doesn't really exist without you guys. There's not much else I make for video outside of maybe like filming my kids for my mom and dad, outside of this. And I am just super thankful, guys. I am thankful for you guys. I think you guys are one of the most important things in my life. And I don't think I take enough videos to say that. I don't think I take enough time to say that. And I don't think enough YouTubers take enough time to say that. And I think we should. And so since this is a day of giving thanks, I give my thanks to you guys. And I hope you have a wonderful day, and I hope you overcome all your fears, obstacles, and nervousness about coming, visiting, or living in Japan. And I will try to continue this, I think, this weekend with another follow-up to try and answer the rest of your questions. If I don't, I apologize. I thank you so much for your questions on here, so much for a great response, and have a wonderful day, guys. A wonderful day. Have a wonderful day, too. All right? I'm an open-minded person. And have a wonderful Thanksgiving if you're in America. Until next time, I'm unrested with the questions you requested.